Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. As it pertains to cryptocurrency regulation in the United States, there are all sorts of different arms of the United States government that have their own, let's say, opinions and want to have the responsibility of governing such fall under their purview. So lots of different opinions going on. What's fascinating to me is that you have XRP, which has been around for 7 years-ish, and I just want to ask, with how noteworthy XRP is in the world of crypto, do you think that any branch of the United States government, any department of the United States government would allow XRP to exist the way it has for 7 years if there was something shady or wrong or illegal going on? Just do you think, especially in light of all the other ICOs that have been shut down by the SEC, so on and so forth? No, you don't. You don't see anybody jumping in like that. There's lawsuits that I would call frivolous in the works, certainly. But as far as the government coming in, no. You know what they're more concerned about is stablecoins. I got a couple articles on this. Take a look at this. Stablecoins pose risk to financial stability, warns Federal Reserve. And this one's fun, too. Take a look at this. These are both brand new articles. Stablecoin crisis could wreck global finance, Fed warns in new report. And this is funny to me because I'm going to put this in the context. Look, this is an XRP-centric channel. I'm going to put this in the context of XRP. And to me, it's... okay, I get it, the concern. I'll explain why. To me, it's just like, yeah, you're not necessarily fully thinking through this. So I'll run through that. And then at the end of the video, I've got a fun piece. It's just a fascinating headline. It caught my attention, so I thought I'd share it with you. Breaking. George Bush's son received $300,000 from OneCoin scammer. And I covered the OneCoin scam in a relatively recent video. So, this definitely caught my attention for a couple reasons. But before we get going any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, welcome to the party. Go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel so that the party won't stop. Right? Can't stop, won't stop. Into this first piece now. Stablecoins could complement other payment systems and improve conditions for consumers, but need constant checks, says the United States Federal Reserve. In its November 2019 Financial Stability Report, released on November 15th, the Fed highlights stablecoins and their potential impact on the United States and beyond. Rather than dismissing the phenomenon, officials eye potential use cases for the future, but insist any stablecoin must adhere to regulatory demands. Innovations that foster faster, it's not like I knocked the enunciation of those two words out of the park, but you shouldn't use foster and faster one after the other. So anyway, innovations that foster faster, cheaper, and more inclusive payments could complement existing payment systems and improve consumer welfare if appropriately designed and regulated, the report explains. At the same time, the Fed warns, quote, however, the possibility for a stablecoin payment network to quickly achieve global scale introduces important challenges and risks related to financial stability, monetary policy, safeguards against money laundering and terrorist financing, and consumer and investor protection. Okay, all legitimate concerns, but I think a big picture, one of the greatest concerns, and I know that at least publicly facing U.S. regulators have stated that there's no concern whatsoever of a cryptocurrency taking the role of the United States dollar in terms of becoming a global reserve currency. Conceptually, I could see that happening way, way, way down the road, but even the United States government has acknowledged, look, it's just not something that's even on the radar now. And in the short term, at least for now, I think that's actually true, but even so, it makes me wonder, are you not thinking that in the back of your mind? Because, look, time's going to pass. Eventually, you're going to wake up and it's 30 years later. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it added rare official praise of Facebook's embattled Libra concept, describing it as an example of stablecoins, which have the potential to rapidly achieve widespread adoption. A global stablecoin network, if poorly designed and unregulated, could pose risks to financial stability, it states elsewhere. The report comes as the Fed takes an increasing interest in digital currency. As Cointelegraph reported earlier this month, the central bank is currently looking for a dedicated research manager for the sphere as China prepares to launch its state-backed digital currency. Okay. Now let me hop into the next piece. This is all very closely related, of course. So same topic. I did get this next one from XRP Crypto Wolf. So shout out to you, my boy, XRP Crypto Wolf. Very much appreciated. Good, sir. And this one's titled Stablecoin Crisis Could Wreck Global Finance. Fed warns in new reports. So let me cover a bit of this and let's talk a little bit about XRP if we could. The U.S. Federal Reserve Board on Friday warned that a stablecoin crisis could wreak havoc on the global economy and outlined the steps issuers must take to protect the status quo. The central bank's prognosis, buried deep in the November edition of its semi-annual Financial Stability Report, rests on a stablecoin worst-case outcome: a run on the issuers in which coin holders panic en masse and demand the return of the fiat they staked. Okay, fine, fair enough concern. Could that not happen with one fiat currency? Because if you think about it, here's the part where they start to lose me. And if you have a different take on this, I am actually quite genuinely curious, and please drop it in the comments below. But here's my take, and then I want to talk about XRP. It's all closely related, really. But, as it pertains to a run on this, so couldn't there be a run on the dollar or any fiat currency? Could that not be the case? Because when you're talking about a stable coin, it's going to be backed either by one fiat currency or a basket of fiat currencies, right? And so if there's a run on the cryptocurrency, conceptually, it's kind of similar to a run on those currencies that back it. Now, you can make a case that the way in which it's utilized would have an immediate impact, and it can affect liquidity and so on and so forth. But could there not be measures in place? Is it that big of a deal? And then we start thinking about functionally the importance of liquidity. It gets me thinking more about XRP. Because specifically, as it pertains to XRP, it's well understood within the XRP community, and maybe you're newer and still learning stuff, but the way XRP works, I'm not going to get too in-depth here, of course, but in order for XRP to function the way Ripple intends for it to be used as a bridge currency, there must be a sufficient blend of price and liquidity, with liquidity being even more important than price. Well, they're important, but liquidity is more important because if nobody's buying and selling, it doesn't matter what the hell the price is, so you have to have sufficient liquidity. So what if XRP speculators, investors, for whatever reason, lost confidence in XRP, not even because of what Ripple was doing? Say that there's a bazillion other developers building on top of the XRP ledger in the future, and a bunch of them come into hard times, or who knows why. This is just a wacky hypothetical, but just using this to make a point. I don't think any of this is going to happen, of course. But let's say that happens and investors lose confidence, not because of what Ripple's done and the way that they're building out the XRP ecosystem, but just because, just in a fantasy land, it's all going to hell. Well, in that situation, let's presume that XRP is being used the world over. Let's say it's many years down the road, and you got corridors built out, you've got exchanges in place that play the role of market makers, so liquidity hubs, that make the transaction of XRP possible, and take out all the middlemen that you see in the the traditional SWIFT legacy system as it pertains to transacting money, changing it from one fiat currency to another. So let's just understand that in this hypothesis, you've got all of the regulatory stuff figured out, and you've got all these corridors open up, and on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP is actually being used. What's it look like if people panic sell and there's no longer sufficient liquidity after global adoption? What does that actually look like? And to me, this is just a fun critical thinking exercise, because really, functionally, what does that look like? Do you have is there some sort of, I don't even know what that would look like. Would you have some sort of entity that's actually holding an additional quantity of XRP to throw in case, even though that doesn't solve the liquidity problem, but then there's more of it at least, and so that kind of helps? Is it the case that you'd have to plug in some sort of other cryptocurrency to have something in place? Is it the case that you have some Nostro Vostro accounts the world over, so you have Nostro Vostro still, but substantially reduced since it's not as necessary? And then what would that even look like? Because I know you might think something like that could or would never happen, but you have to, seriously, it's important to think critically through these things, because just because something has never happened, you shouldn't say necessarily that it won't happen. That's a bad way to approach things in general, all right? Because you don't know for sure what the future will hold. And look, I'm Mr. XRP Bull, so this is just a fun critical thinking exercise. But really, seriously, what indeed would that look like? And it makes me wonder, because again, check this out. Stablecoins are a form of cryptocurrency that maintain their value by staking themselves to fiat reserves. While the volatility of Bitcoin, the most widely owned cryptocurrency, is a favorite talking point of its detractors, Stablecoins are digital currencies backed one-to-one with a fiat asset of our basket of currencies and designed to maintain a steady value. And it's funny, given that it is backed one-to-one, you could flip that concept on its head. What if instead of the idea of there being a run on the stablecoin cryptocurrency, what if something just goes really bad with the underlying backing asset, the fiat currency, whether it's the United States dollar or Mexican peso or any other peso or the Thai baht, whatever it is? What happens then? What if it's backed to that? And what if that is just one currency in a basket of fiat currencies? How does that affect it? Well, think about it. Seriously, mechanically, what does it even look like? I'm honestly not quite sure. If you have multiple currencies backing a cryptocurrency and one of the fiat currencies goes to hell or has runaway inflation, what does that even look like? So it could happen either way. And so one of the points also I wanted to make is you don't know. Like, they're talking about a world of fear in which something goes wrong with the cryptocurrency. What about a world of fear when something goes wrong with the underlying fiat currency, which is certainly possible as well? The average fiat currency lifespan is less than 30 years. Believe that. That's true. That's a real thing. The average fiat currency lifespan, that's government-issued fiat currency, less than 30 years. Fiat currencies don't exactly have the best track record. So it's okay to analyze all of this stuff, but let's not pretend, if you're a regulator, that these are concerns that should only be had about cryptocurrencies. Like some of the concerns absolutely apply to fiat currency as well. So to me, it's just fun to think of. But look, it's just fascinating to me that on top of this, so there are all these concerns being expressed about stablecoins, and you just don't see the federal government, any part of it, stating concerns about XRP. No, to the contrary, it's let alone. Maybe there'll be some sort of official ruling in the future that, hey, yes, XRP is a utility coin. It's perfectly fine. That would be super duper. I would love that, because let's be real, XRP is not a security. Not. But you can tell just by their inaction as it pertains to XRP that that's the route it's going. So to me, it's just kind of a matter of time, and we'll see. It's all going to work itself out. But it's kind of telling to see the lack of inaction on XRP, and then very vocal concerns about stable coins at large. So I don't know, just a fun way to look at it. You can tell me what you think. Then next, here's a tweet from Bruce Swan. I want to give a shout out to you. I really appreciate this. This is really nice what you wrote here. He writes on Twitter, I would recommend 3 people to follow for info on XRP and Ripple without the hype, speculation, and FUD. Insights into the network Ripple is building. It's all about the fundamentals. And then he tagged me and then fellow XRP YouTubers, Kevin Cage and Ham Eggs and Sam to the lifeboat to the lifeboats. That's Sam, of course. And so anyway, that was really nice. I just want to say thank you so much for your support and for watching the channel. I don't take anything like that for granted. I could not be I could not be more appreciative, and I'm quite humbled by the fact that there are this many people that are listening to me, because I never thought my channel would grow to this point, if I'm being honest with you, and I am being honest. So genuine thanks from the bottom of my heart there. All right, last fun story here. Breaking: George Bush's son received $300,000 from OneCoin scammer. All right, Mark Scott, a former... let me start up here. Neil Bush, a son of a former U.S. President George H.W. Bush, was paid $300,000 by Ruja Ignatova for attending a meeting related to her fraudulent cryptocurrency known as OneCoin, according to Law 360, citing a failed subpoena bid. Mark Scott, a former attorney and international firm Locklord, is facing trial in a United States court for allegedly conspiring with Ignatova, nicknamed Crypto Queen. And last time I covered this, like, oh, what a cool name. It's so stupid. Anyway, and her brother, Konstantin Ignatov, to launder illicit money from the renowned Ponzi scheme OneCoin. Ignatova is indicted on money laundering charges and has gone into hiding, while her brother was apprehended earlier this year, at LAX no less. Back to Scott. He doesn't accept the charges against him and claims that he thought everything was legal. Scott's attorney, Arlo Devlin Brown, told U.S. District Judge Edgardo Ramos that Neil Bush, brother of former President George W. Bush and son of the late President George H.W. Bush, met with Ignatova, and this is why Scott felt comfortable with the deal. There's a quote here. This isn't just, we saw the name Bush on a transaction and cut a subpoena, Devlin Brown said. He wants Bush to be testified. I think they mean to testify. But anyway, investor Neil Bush was previously contacted by the FBI agents investigating the scheme, as he is a board member at Hoifu Energy, a company owned by Chinese businessman Dr. Hui Chi Ming. Maybe I said that right? I don't know. It's the best I can do. The company was involved in a $60 million loan deal that would be financed with cash and, strangely enough, OneCoin. Bush testifying about his role would demonstrate that the deal was not the scam the U.S. government claims it to be, Devlin Brown said. So, fascinating, right? How are you going to get a big name tied in with something like that? It's worth noting. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!